Hello, welcome back. I hope you're well. I have a confession I need to make and I need to get it off my chest so I can sleep better at night. Yes, I call myself Mr. Leica with the mrleica.com blog, and so for that reason I feel really guilty that I've been leaving my Leica cameras on the side and picking up a non-Leica camera. My confession today is the Minolta X300. This is an extremely affordable 35mm rangefinder camera. So I know it's not Leica, but before you click away, stay with me and you might want to pick one of these up just for a bit of fun. They are a lot better than you may imagine. So like all my videos, we'll quickly cover the basics and then I'll show you some example photos. So what is the Minolta X300? This is a manual focus SLR camera released in 1984. For anybody with the X500, it's really similar, it just has a few less features. Now the Minolta X300 uses a MD mount, so it uses a manual focus Minolta MD lens such as this 45mm f2 lens. This lens is also stunning, by the way. So I'm showing you what an SLR looks like, but this is inside the camera. Obviously you can see the mirror. And then being an SLR camera, you're looking through the viewfinder on the back of the camera to see the focus screen. This is a really simple camera, so it won't take long to go through the settings. On the top of the camera you have an on-off button, and that doesn't save the battery, it just stops you accidentally pressing the shutter and kind of wasting an exposure. On the top you have shutter speed from bulb right through to 1000, and then you also have auto mode or auto exposure. The flash sync speed of the Minolta X300 is 1/60 for anybody that likes using flash, and it does have a hot shoe. The Minolta X300 has a built-in light meter and it uses an electronic shutter. To load your film you need to press the small button here and lift up, and that will pop the back. Looks the same as every other probably SLR camera inside. One thing to note, this is an electronic shutter. Wind it on. One issue to note with it being an electronic shutter is you need batteries to operate the camera. So if you pick one of these up on eBay, we'll get to the price in a second. If you can't dry fire the camera like that, it means there's no batteries in the camera. So the camera's not broken. When I first got mine I was like, oh no, I've got a dead camera. And it wasn't, it just needed batteries. So the camera requires two LR44 coin batteries, and they go in the base of the camera. They operate both the shutter and the light meter. On the front of the camera you have a self timer. You lift up like so, and then advance your frame, set it up on a tripod or whatever you're doing, press the shutter as normal, and then see the LED flashing. That's your countdown for the self timer. And then there you go. It's quite a nice feature for a very simple camera. The same button can also be used as an auto exposure lock, but I've not used that personally. To remove the lens you press that button, and you'll notice there's no depth of field preview button. One other feature that's also missing is there's no PC sync port for anybody that likes using kind of the old-fashioned cables into your studio lights. That's not really a big problem because you can just use a wireless trigger with a PC sync port into the trigger, and then you can basically connect your PC sync port from a little unit that clips onto the top of the hot shoe. So that's not a negative. In terms of the viewfinder, when you look through the camera, you have your shutter speeds down the right hand side, and then it'll say M at the top if you're in manual mode, which is all the shutter settings except when you're in auto. Then you've got a LED showing you your current shutter speed and an LED showing you the correct shutter speed based on the built-in light meter. Personally, I'm usually using a Staconic light meter like this, so I've not really taken much notice of the built-in light meter, but it does work, so maybe I'll have to try it on a future shoot. If you do use the built-in light meter, make sure you set your film ISO on the dial here. So I was shooting Ilford Pan 400, so I had it set to 400. The viewfinder is really clear and bright and it gives 95% coverage. In the center you have a AccuMatte split screen, making it perfect for people like me with not 20/20 vision to lining up on you guys on the center using the split prism in the middle, and then once it lines up like a rangefinder, take your shot. As I say, to load film, press the button, lift up, pops the back, load film as normal. When you finish your roll of film you need to press this button here, press this, you can then rewind your film like on any other SLR camera. So now let's look at the weight. The weight of this camera is a really big strong point for me personally. The X300 body only without batteries only weighs 470 grams. Now if you compare that to say like M camera, they normally weigh around 560 grams. If you compare that to a Nikon FE2, let me grab it for you. Here's an FE2, just as a comparison. See, I do use SLR cameras as well. I'm not just a rangefinder boy, but I'm mostly a rangefinder boy. Okay, 550 grams body only, 470 grams body only. So like me, if you're trying to pack really light, the ultimate setup might be the X300 with the 45mm lens, because I believe this is the smallest lens for this camera. And it's also really, really light. So the combination of these two is crazy light. In comparison, I've got a 40mm lens here on the Nikon FE2, but this is a heavy lens. So the combination is, I don't know, 30-40% heavier this versus this, because the lens is really light and the body's light. This is a heavy kind of well-built lens and a slightly heavier body, but the combination is this one's a lot heavier. So the ultimate pairing could be the Leica CL / Minolta CL 35mm film camera. I think that weighs 365 grams as your rangefinder camera. It's not a great camera for portraits, and then you would pair that with a Minolta X300 470 grams. Then you could carry two cameras with two lenses, the 40mm Minolta lens on the CL and the 45mm Minolta lens on the X300. And that would give you a perfect pairing for, say, using two cameras, one for portraits, one for other types of photography, kind of street photography, landscapes, things like that. And both those cameras are really lightweight. And the lens is really good too. Do not underestimate this lens just from the title of this video. Now that brings us on to price. How much do you think this camera costs? Now my cheapest SLR camera to date was the Nikon FM with a 50mm 1.8 lens, and that cost me £100. Now it was a few years ago, so the price of that is now probably maybe £200, for example. So if that was my cheapest SLR camera, how much do you think this was? Now I checked eBay today to get the latest prices. You can buy an X300 for £30, which is roughly $40 US for body only. That's ridiculous. That's just, you cannot comprehend why it is so cheap compared to other cameras which would do exactly the same job. I actually paid £50 for this camera with lens, and then the lens was dented in transit, so they gave me a £20 discount. So I paid £30 for camera and lens. That is without doubt my best budget 35mm film camera. Now who is the Minolta X300 camera suited to? Basically anybody that wants to get into film photography. If you want to get into film photography and you've never shot film before and you want a really easy, very affordable camera to get started with, I cannot recommend this camera highly enough. Yes, I also enjoy some low price Soviet rangefinder cameras. Rangefinder cameras are great, but they're not as user friendly as SLR cameras. You may have seen my rangefinder versus SLR videos. I can link them below if you've not seen them. Rangefinders are amazing, but they're not amazing for everything. SLR cameras are much more versatile and they can do many more types of photography, and they're much easier to use. With the X300 having the light meter and the built-in auto mode, this really is ideal as a beginner camera. Not only that, I enjoy it, and I've been shooting for 10 years. I'm fortunate enough to enjoy some higher end film cameras, whether that's 35mm or medium format. And yet, with that said, I've still been picking up the X300 over Mamiya RZ. I think the portrait cameras, Mamiya RZ, Mamiya 645, Hasselblad, Leica M3, Leica M6. I've been picking this camera up instead of all of those cameras. And now it's like, either are you completely stupid, talking about myself, or this camera must be all right. The reason I'm picking this camera up is because of the weight and because I'm just happy with the results. I don't limit myself to cameras by only the brand. So for example, I don't shoot just Leica just because I called myself Mr. Leica in the past. I'll shoot any camera that will give me great results and will allow me to create the kind of image in my head. This camera is really good over like a rangefinder camera because I can get much closer. So for kind of intimate portraits, SLR cameras are so much better. With it being small and light, it means I can get it to the location easily, making it much more portable and therefore picked instead of the, as I say, Mamiya RZ or Hasselblad or any of the other big cameras, Hasselblad H2 All of these are great cameras, but sometimes I can't carry big cameras to my shoots. So with all that said, I like this camera. I'm not sure if it's just a phase. I took it to Poland and now I'll show you some example photos. It just works, and I would have been more than happy to pay £100, maybe £150. It seems almost criminal that this costs so little money, and hence I bring it to you guys. Anybody on a really tight budget but still wants to be able to shoot some film, this might be the tool to get you out there shooting again. In terms of the lenses are also very cheap. Some are cheaper than others. The 45mm is my current favourite, but I also use the 24mm, the 35, and I've got a 50 as well. I was interested to see how they all performed. Maybe I'll do, if you want me to do a review on Minolta lenses at a later date, drop me a message in the comments. But with many of you guys appreciating Leica, I'm not sure if this will be a popular video, probably not. But I wanted to put it out there anyway. If you want to pick up one of these cameras, check the eBay links in the description below. And here are a few photos. So firstly, we have some street photos shot on our day out in London. These are shot with the Minolta 24mm f 2.8 lens. And then firstly, I shot some portraits in the UK. And then because of the size and weight of this camera, I then took the Minolta to Poland. And it was kind of crazy. I had the Minolta alongside Leica cameras and Voigtlander cameras, and I used the Minolta more than all those cameras put together. So hence I have a lot of example photos from one trip, because I was picking up the Minolta instead of, say, the Voigtlander Beta R or the Voigtlander Beta T. So that's all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give the video a thumbs up, and that'll also tell the YouTube algorithm to spread this video to the wider film community, and hopefully a few more people can get to enjoy this budget camera. Let me know in the comments if you're a fellow Minolta shooter. Hopefully it's not just me and some tumbleweed and everybody else is there with their Leicas or whatever. Yes, I have my Leicas as well, but I'm really liking this camera at the moment. If you have friends that may appreciate this camera, please do share this video. And if you've not already done so, hit subscribe so not to miss my 2 videos that I release every week. As always, a big thanks to my patrons. Have a great day, whatever you're doing, and see you back here for the next video. Bye.